had more points in the paint in the first half of this game than they had the entire game one. The entire game one. For those that have not seen it, home teams in game two, after losing game one in a series since 2019, so that applied to the Celtics last evening, it applied to the Warriors tonight, are now 21-1 and 20-2 against the spread. Teams that are home teams that lose game one, the record that they have had in game two since 2019 is absolutely unbelievable. Now, look, we know that in many series, there's always the zigzag, right? Like, the team that loses is going to make the more profound adjustments, usually. Because they're looking at that game tape and they say, you're not going to beat us this way. You're not going to beat us this way. You're not going to beat us this way. And then they've got to go out and they've got to execute that plan. And there is no question that tonight the Warriors were able to execute their plan because as we start, they are up by 31 points.
Yeah,
so
I mean, this was
a run out.
Well, there was a stat that Kendra Andrews tweeted out tonight. She said, before this game, the Warriors had not scored 40 points in a quarter this postseason. They scored 41 in the second, 43 in the third. So the Warriors, middle of that game, just really dominate the Lakers. Like you said, Chris, this is a trend in game two. So it's not a big surprise that the Warriors have a bounce back game in game two, and it's also not a surprise that the type of adjustments we saw Steve Kerr make. We saw, the little bit of a surprise, Kevon Looney doesn't start the game. JaMychal Green starts. They say Looney's sick and that's why the decision was made, but it also did make sense based off of everything that happened in game one to add another shooter and split up those Looney Green minutes. And JaMychal Green, he's a limited player, but the spacing he provided was effective in helping Steph Curry run more ball screens, which was the big adjustment. Jeff Van Gundy mentioned it throughout the broadcast. They're having Steph Curry run more ball screens early in the offense, getting the Lakers into rotation, and looking at the numbers on Second Spectrum, just to give some context, he averaged around 25 over the full season per game. And game 7 against the Kings, he had 42 pick and rolls ran in 38 minutes. In game one, he had 22 in 38 minutes. Game 2, he had 24 pick and rolls in 30 minutes. So they ramped that up. More Steph Curry playmaking, more Steph Curry pick and rolls, and that made a big difference in their half-court offense, I felt, in addition to JaMychal Green being out there over Looney in the starting lineup.
Well, and the massive difference, and this is something that we talked about during their series against the Grizzlies, and I was telling you that in game 2 of that series was they ended up getting the ball, like they had to find a way, much like this series, Davis, unstoppable force of nature defensively in game 1. And so you say, we have got to get this guy out of the paint. Like, we don't have any chance. And so the way to get him out of the paint and to put him in constant motion is to have a shooter be screened for by his man. And so in that case, you remember that was the Xavier Tillman game where he's just slip. And you saw tonight, Green, Looney, guys slipping to the basket. They had more points in the paint in the first half of this game than they had the entire game one. The entire game one. And that's because with that, what you were talking about, the part of that Steph taking out, you don't have a choice. He has to come up if it's somebody that if you can set a good screen there, he's got to come up because it's not somebody that you just will allow to get an open look from 3. And, we're going to talk about that Sixers thing later. Same thing kind of goes with them, right? Like, I mean, it's not a big deal if Malcolm Brogdon necessarily is taking threes, but if you're just going to give him practice threes, he's shooting fish in a barrel. And so you're just constantly trying to pull Embiid away. pull Embiid away from the paint.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with this. You're not going to be able to function with this guy in front of the rim. And it's one of the reasons, look, they ended up getting beat by 1,000 in their game 6, so no excuses. But it's one of the reasons that we talked about why Kennard being out was such a big deal, just because you have to have somebody that he has to come out and guard. And so I thought going small tonight was going to be their adjustment. And you saw them get away with and this is Draymond Green being Draymond Green. Physical defense on AD. You know, people, every time AD has a bad game, it's like, oh, he didn't bring it. Like, some of that credit goes to the Warriors, too. Because
they put Draymond on him. It was Looney in game 1. Looney defended AD for 45 possessions in game 1. Draymond did for 27 possessions. In game 2, Looney's down to 15 possessions. Draymond's up to 39 possessions. And I thought, like, Draymond
He's
got
too
up to
quick for Looney. He's too quick for Looney.
Yeah, he is too quick. And I thought Draymond got off to a little bit of a slower start in the first quarter, but that second quarter, he just absolutely turned it on. And there was a play you could tell he like got himself into it. He clapped, he screamed after defending AD. Well, he turned it on and changed the game, I felt, for the Warriors.
He just plays with such force, really physical defense. And that's the thing kind of with AD is you got to be really physical with him. You're not going to be able to, like with the Looney thing, like I say, he's a little too quick for Looney. And so is he going to use his size to destroy you? And I think, you take the matchup because Draymond's guarded all manner of guys over this time, and they could get away with it. And the other thing is this: you see,
part of it though, Chris. Part of it is also like for AD, like there's times he's setting screens for D'Lo and just not getting fed the ball. And that pick and roll at times.
And also, I thought they really put pressure on, even off of makes. Run. They just going to keep on going, keep on pushing that pace no matter what. Because, look, the Lakers were in a tough spot because they went all in to win that game 1, and it paid off.
Yeah.
But you look at their minute totals in game 1, and I mean, those are serious minute totals.
Yeah,
that is tough.
They went for it. They really went for it.
I mean, that was 44 minutes, I think. The Davis out there, like that's just not sustainable. You're not going to get great 44-minute performances on 2 days rest all that often. And so they went all in. They got their split in Golden State. But I do think that they've got a little bit of an issue with this small thing with the Warriors, which, frankly, everybody's had an issue with for a decade.